a meteor suddenly fell from the sky, about to hit a girl eating buns on the ground. At that critical moment, Tony flew into action. With one powerful move, he launched the house-sized meteor back into the sky. Then he looked for a spot far from the girl, and gently set the meteor down only after making sure it was safe. Little did anyone know that this seemingly ordinary move by Tony actually saved all of humanity from disaster. It turns out Tony was a practitioner of traditional martial arts, not only highly skilled but also kind-hearted. After rescuing the homeless girl, he realized she had a natural talent for martial arts, so he took her in as his student. 10 years flew by in a flash. The girl had not only mastered her skills, but also grown into a confident and heroic young woman. But one day, she was watching a livestream and saw an arrogant fighting champion. This man had just defeated a traditional martial arts master. He mocked traditional martial arts on camera, and even arrogantly declared that he would challenge all traditional martial arts experts. The girl was instantly provoked, and wanted Tony to come down the mountain and teach the champion a lesson. But to her surprise, Tony, who was long tired of worldly conflicts, showed no interest in fighting. Instead, he warned his student that martial arts is not about showing off or being aggressive. When she couldn't convince her master, the girl simply handed him the livestream to watch. But what Tony saw completely enraged him, because the man who had been beaten was his own brother. Tony could no longer suppress his fury, and immediately set off with his student to visit his brother. Soon Tony and the girl arrived at his brother's home, only to find out that his brother's tendons had been completely destroyed. Such cruelty was clearly not just a simple martial arts duel. This was an attempt to kill. Tony was boiling with anger, and the girl could barely hold herself back, eager to face off against the fighting champion. But while the family was still fuming, the arrogant champion showed up at their door to provoke them. This time Tony wasn't going to let it slide. However, his father and brother were unaware of his true strength, and they didn't want him to get involved. His brother even wheeled himself forward to protect Tony, only to be kicked over by the champion. Though their elderly father was quite old, he stood up to defend his family, but age caught up with him quickly, and he lost after just a few moves. He ignored his injuries, and still tried to stop his son from rushing into a fight. But at that moment, the girl could no longer stand the champion's arrogance, so before Tony could act, she jumped in herself. Though she had 10 years of training, her opponent was brutally fierce, and she began to lose ground fast. In the nick of time, Tony stepped in to steady her. He then shared some insights with his student, and the girl instantly understood the deeper meaning. The champion never expected to be taken down by traditional Tai Chi. He was finally convinced of the power of traditional martial arts, but to everyone's surprise, his boss had another plan. This time he brought in a world fighting champion, yet even a world champion was on a completely different level compared to a master who could catch a meteor barehanded. And just then, the world fighting champion broke down the door carrying a coffin.